Okay, if you love finding classic, timeless pieces, it's like a treasure hunt. Listen to this. There is a difference between calling something retro, vintage, antique, or even ancient.
Here to explain it to us is Michelle Smith, the owner of Treasured Again. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We just loved your segment last time, and there's so much to learn from you. I'm glad you're breaking this down for us, the difference in those words.
Well, and before we talk about this, I just want to say the festival went really well. It'll begin on September 29th if you missed it, but it was so great to have you guys highlight the festival, so thank you so much.
Well, not only that, you have the newest and largest vintage store in Kaysville. So if you want to go take a peek at any of those, any of the things you see here and so much more, that's where you go.
Yes, absolutely. We're at 340 North Main, down by the old Main Street Bowman's that's been there for 110 years. We're their neighbor, and we're by the new Red Balloon toy store that just opened there as well. So.
I love it. And speaking of treasures, you always bring such an eclectic mix to show off and tell us. So when we come in and we're looking for something and we say something retro, what does that mean?
So the retro changes, so does vintage. So when you think about it, when you wanted to dress retro, Nisha, you and I are closer in age.
Yes.
You're a baby. We wanted to dress like Grease, the 50s, right? And that was retro at our time when we were in high school.
But retro to Dina would be different.
Yes, retro to you would be different. And so the retro to the kids now are things about 25, 30 years ago. So this is a leather jacket that is really trending right now for the kids. They're loving the vintage and retro clothing. And they call it vintage. It's really not vintage. It would be if we went back to those things that are a little older. So about 30 to 40 years old would be retro.
It's when your kids say, have you ever heard of a braided belt? And you say, yes, I own it.
Because everything is cycling back.
Cycling back, so that would be retro.
Yes.
Okay, what would vintage be?
So our vintage items need to be a little bit, I am vintage. I say it's kind of when you get over the 50, 60 area. So we're getting there with our Furbies now. Definitely with the typewriters that were manual. I remember when I showed that to my daughter and she was like, can you imagine? And I felt like a dinosaur.
Wait, this is so interesting because I feel like seeing a typewriter like this and a Furby are from such different eras.
Yes, and so it's a much wider, which leads us into the next one. An antique has to be 100 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So an antique typewriter could also exist, but it would be one as a precursor to this, the ones that were the tiered, really old Remingtons and things like that.
Over 100 years old.
Yeah,
How many
100.
pieces do you have that are over 100
So I have
years old?
quite a few antiques, especially furniture, because they made their furniture to last. They made their furniture to be around forever. And now we use a lot of particle board and less quality materials, and so you move them 2 or 3 times and they fall apart. So this antique furniture really has held up, and it's such a great investment.
You taught us a new word in the break, antiquity.
An antiquity. So I couldn't bring many antiquities. I was able to bring 2. One is a reproduction. So our Chinese
Right here?
soldier, that would be from a dynasty thousands of years ago. And I do have some Roman coins, and the Roman coins are a couple thousand years old.
So is that the definition of antiquity? It has to be 1,000?
Very, very old. So 500 plus
500
years
plus
old.
years old. Okay.
Well, but you have that right in your shop, thousands of years old. That is so cool.
Yeah. But the very oldest is prehistoric, which I didn't even think about until we got here. And we've got some fossils, as well as this beautiful piece that you noticed, the lace agate, the beautiful sphere made of petrified wood. Those things are prehistoric, before time.
Michelle, last time you wanted to show us how some of these glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Can we try that this time?
Yes, please.
And why do they glow?
So they may have uranium, radium. There's also some other elements that make them glow.
Is that okay? Is that safe?
Yeah, so the good thing about it is when they're in solid form like this, and this one over here glows pink.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, you can see that.
Oh, the little dish. Wait, shine
little
these
dish.
right here
And
again.
so these glow,
Let's
and
take
this
a
one
shot
right
of
here,
this.
more orange. Do you see the orange and the amberina glass that glows?
These
And
two.
then-
This is so bright.
Just the
Oh, my
materials
goodness.
that they made.
They used uranium and
used back
radium.
then.
Starting in 1830, they discovered that these glowed in the dark, and they started adding them to their dishware. The women would use them as makeup. They would write with them on things,
Really?
put them on the hands of clocks. And they didn't realize when, especially in liquid form, they were highly radioactive. But they're no more radioactive than your microwave at home or your cell phone.
So, Michelle, you say this is almost 100 years old, so this would be
Now, this one is
vintage?
over 100 years
Ancient.
old. Antique.
Antique. Okay.
Oh, we got it. I just love how knowledgeable you are. Go see Michelle. Go to the shop, and you can get 25% off one item with the GTU code. That does exclude furniture and turquoise jewelry, but look at all the treasures you have to choose from.
It's called Treasured Again, and it is located in Kaysville, and all the social media info along with that discount info on our website, abc4.com/GTU. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, coming up next, stop the stigma around talking about mental health. One organization's mission is doing this through dance. We also have a performance next on GTU.